everybody, and welcome to another installment of Plaid Stallion's Toy Ventures. Thanks for watching. This week, we're going to go into the world of knockoffs yet again, but this time it's not bionic, it's apes. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Astro Apes. So here's a bit of backstory on this. By around 1973, the Planet of the Apes series had wound down to the last film, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Around this time, the broadcast ratings for earlier films on television revealed that the primary audience was children. Kids loved apes, who thunk it? With a hit with children, 20th Century Fox wisely created a licensing boom for the Planet of the Apes. Movies were not considered a safe bet for toy makers, and that is mostly in part due to the success, or the lack of success, of a film called Dr. Dolittle, which is ironically another Arthur P. Jacobs production. A lot of toy makers kind of took a bath on that one. But with the movies airing regularly on television and a weekly television series coming for the fall of 1974, toy makers jumped in with both hands, and if there was something you wanted, it had an ape on it. There was a tense struggle for the action figure rights between Mego Corporation and Azrak Hamway, who already had the license for other rack toys. Mego famously won by outbidding them. However, this is the part of the story that gets interesting. Azrak Hamway said, well, we're still going to make ape figures, and made a line called the Action Ape Man. These are pretty much blatant knockoffs, and 20th Century Fox then said to AHI, hey, stop that. And they did. However, they weren't the only toy company trying to get a little bit of that sales heat from apes, and thus the Astro Apes were born. The Astro Apes were the creation of a company called United Manufacturing Company. Sexy name, eh? The appeal of these figures is that somebody really went out of their way to kind of create a sense of style for them. And they are different from the actual Planet of the Apes figures because there's kind of a retro future thing going. So let's meet the characters. First up, we have the Warrior Ape, which is obviously their answer to the Soldier Ape that was so popular. He is clad in a Roman-style helmet and has a laser gun. Next up, we have is Artemus, the I'm assuming chimpanzee scientist. And of course, Artemus is joined by his companion, Myra. She has a really pretty flower in her hair, doesn't she? Finally, the group is rounded out by the sole orangutan in the series, Dr. Zorma. Not Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius doesn't have glasses. The figures themselves have some really nice head sculpts, quality clothing, but it's all kind of marred by the low-quality plastic they used to produce these. These are one of the most fragile toy lines I've ever had. I mean, they break when you look at them. They're like Kinder Surprise eggs. They are very, very fragile. The Astro Apes were sold in a baggie with a header card, the sign of quality at a dime store. But the graphics are really kind of fun. Somebody put some thought into these, and I love them for it. Oddly enough, this is not the only toy that featured the Astro Apes brand. About 5 years ago, a small find of these little mini inflatable figures came out. These look like they probably sold for about 10 cents. And, were your typical counter rack toy. They're the same characters with wonderful cartoon art, so that's kind of part of the series of Astro Apes. And it's fun to have another little thing to collect. The inflatables also list their importer, which is something the figures don't do, and it is Dan Breckner and Company. I guess Dan felt more confident putting his name on these inflatables than he did the figures, but this is a real fly-by-night operation, and it's kind of wonderful that some of these survive to collectors because, honestly, they couldn't have survived much play. I collect these, but it's been a real struggle. One time I had Artemus and decided I wasn't going to be able to find the other three, and I sold it, and of course immediately after that I found the other three. So I need an Artemus when I used to have one. This is what happens when you collect and you also have ADHD. As an added bonus, I'd like to share William's collection. William is a member of the Mego Museum Forums, of course, which I am as well, and he has a much better collection of apes than I do, including a full set of Astro Apes and their variations. I didn't even know there were variations. I'm learning this with you. It's really cool to see the little accessories they have. Tracking these down on the secondary market can prove to be a challenge. Myra is the one that turns up the most, and often in the baggie. The other guys, very rarely. I've been actively looking for an Artemus for a while. I've missed a couple. These things are generally traded among collectors and not often shown up on eBay. They seem to come out of the UK a lot. England is, of course, the land of fun and weird knockoffs, as I've demonstrated in this series before, and I always love when something new surfaces. What do you think of the Astro Apes? Did you have them as a kid, or is there something you'd like to collect, or does knockoffs not appeal to you at all? Let me know, either on our Twitter, @PlaidStallions. You can hit me up here in the YouTube comments. And, of course, we have a Facebook group where we discuss anything under the sun called Pod Stallions. We'd love to have you join up. Thanks for watching again. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe, and you'll get a new video every week. I'll talk to you next week when I dig up another vintage goodie. Take care.